this is in a whole nother light. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited for what's going on. And I think we're going to have a good 2021. Even though it started out pretty rocky, I think it's going to end up very successful. So right now I want to play a little high heels jazz while I figure out what else I can break or do wrong at the moment. So stand by. We're gonna let the orchestra play. There it was. Hey, a little smooth jazz for your Saturday afternoon. You're listening to Keeba-Live. First Keeba-Live that's actually live, if I can make sure that all the buttons line up and everything goes right. So far, I've had a few minor errors, but hey, it could be worse, you know. I could have done this for an occupation. Who knows? Hey, we got some interesting stuff coming up in the show today. We had a good friend of ours, Joe Link, out there in Redmond, Washington, and Joe was telling me the other day in one of the chat sessions we had on Facebook that, things were kind of interesting. The state of Washington's got 39 counties in it, which is kind of like 39 states in one great big area. And even though the culture in the state is still Washington State under the same RCW laws and regulations and things, each town has some really unique things going on, from shows to, every facet of life you can think of, really, come to think about it. Shopping events, car shows, big events, main events, news. But when you really, really draw it down, we all have the same problem. And that problem seems to have been that we discovered that living at home wasn't too sharp. And, the people out there in Redmond and in different areas have noticed an influx of people moving out of Seattle. Now, I call Seattle the bubble town simply because I'm waiting for it to implode upon itself, with the government regulations and leadership by the town council being so outrageously horrifying. It's amazing of how many businesses have just plain moved out. And when you sit down and say to yourself, well, I wonder why? I mean, Chops was just a month, and they just burned businesses and blocked off city streets, and you all remember what happened. It was all over the news, the media, everybody picked it up. Chops was the answer to the largest protest since Oregon went wacky. What did this accomplish? That's what I want to know. And Joe up there wants to know the same question. What did this accomplish? Well, I'll tell you what, in my viewpoint, it didn't accomplish. It did not solve the problems. I think it created more. You've got major businesses that are moving out of Seattle that have been there for years. And when you ask them why, they say two reasons. Number one, we have no confidence in the leadership any longer. Number two, we're afraid for our employees. We want a safe environment for them to be able to conduct business in. Now, before CHOPS blew up and made a humongous mess and put Seattle on the riot map of the states, it was homeless problems, which now are manifesting and getting larger. And that real problem with homeless is becoming an epidemic in this country. You know, we got the pandemic, but now we have homeless. And homeless has been growing, and nobody for the last year really paid a whole lot of attention to it because we were afraid of the virus and we were protecting our families. Well, what's happened since then, for instance, another good friend of mine, Candace Thompson of the Wild Child Group, spent a short period of time on jury duty. Okay, that's simple, jury duty. You'd think, well, you go up to the courthouse, it's going to be safe, there's going to be parking facilities, everything's going to be wonderful. No, folks, it was not wonderful. We did a couple of phone interviews with her when she was out in the street discussing with others the view from the parking lot of Tent City up on 9th and Yakima, of people urinating on the sidewalks and things of this nature. There is a whole community up there of homeless people, bunch of tents and tarps everywhere you look. It's like they've massively, slowly moved into different areas. Some of them are probably from Seattle. I know not too long ago when we were going down the freeway, West 16, headed into, I believe it was Gig Harbor, you could look off to the side by the Cheney ballpark. There's a little park in there, and then there's an area. And there was, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 families right there between the concrete wall and the fence to keep them off the freeway. Had a nice little chalet home there, split level, you know. Yeah, the best looking tarps you've ever seen, and a collection of grocery carts. Oh, my goodness gracious. From Target, from different stores. We're just, probably a mile away from the scene. It just blows my mind. I'll be honest with you. It really bothers me. 2.5 years ago, we had Pastor Kelly and Pastor Kelly, who is Pastor Kelly Crow, by the way, has done an outstanding job. He's up in Des Moines. He has a Hallelujah, and it's a great organization. He was, I think, one of the best examples of a guy with his feet on the pavement because he lived the homeless life for 10 years. Drug addiction, alcohol, homeless. He was sent through 4 times treatment centers to kick the habit, and it just never took. One day, a gentleman spotted him out on the street and offered him some information where he could pick up a sandwich and a shower and a good night and rest. And that was the beginning of a journey that Pastor Kelly Crow has performed, as far as I'm concerned, a miracle. Right now in his organization, there's over, I understand, 93 women and probably 30 men that are in his program now that are off the streets, that are off drugs, that are moving towards back into those communities, and they're serving our communities, volunteering to pass out food and things of this nature. It is one thumbs-up organization. It is not a handout, by the way. It is a hand up. And if anybody knows what's going on, this man does. He's lived it. He does. So it's amazing. Now, we're spending millions of dollars for programs for the homeless. And I don't see a lot of accomplishment yet, to be frank and honest. $120 million was spent in King County to curb this problem. Well, A lot of that money goes to cleaning up sites after they evict people out of that site. Pierce County spent $5,800 per site on the Puyallup River about a year and a half ago to clean up the needles, the debris, the human feces, to get rid of all that and clear the riverbank of the homeless that had been nesting in that area. I've got a heart for these people, I really do, okay? But on the other hand, I am heartless when it comes to those individuals that are professional squatters or professional homeless. Those are the ones that really aren't interested in getting any better. They really aren't. They don't care. You know, they know where to get a free meal. They know where to get this. They know where to get a free cell phone. They know all the free clinics and everywhere to go. So they have a world of freebies that support them while they live in these unsanitary conditions, like a third world country. And I just don't like that at all. I don't know about you folks, but I think that's pretty bad. Now, there's so many good people out there that are trying to help them make a change. And when you look at the money spent in the good people out there trying to balance this thing out, it looks like the same problem we have with the war on drugs. It's not real successful yet. What are we going to do? Do we bust them up and do like they're doing in Olympia, the home of the bubbleheads, where they're going to ship them over to McKenna area or the old McKenna nursing home? In that area, they're going to move a whole bunch of them over there and set up a little tent city, or maybe they're going to put tiny homes in there for them. I don't know yet what the final decision is. I do know that they're moving a slug of people out of Olympia and putting them over in the McKenna area. This is not great news for people in McKenna. And I imagine Stuart Meats is probably thinking, wow, after all these years, now we're going to have, well, more people over here. Hopefully they'll have some money, or we're in trouble. Because whenever you put a homeless camp next to commerce suffers. Why? Because we're scared to death of what's going to happen to us. I mean, it's simple. In these homeless camps are rapists, pedophiles, and murderers. Let's just say it out loud, like there is in any area. But the difference is when you get into a homeless camp, they're more aggressive. There's more problems. And I know that people say, oh, Bill, you're so wrong. I mean, you're just off the bubble on this completely and entirely. This is ridiculous statements you're making. No, it's not, folks. It really isn't. Would you like to take your family and walk down the street and see homeless people sitting outside their tent there, or laying on the sidewalks in doorways, sound asleep, or on park benches? I think the first horrifying experience I ever had was going to Seattle when I had heard that bums were living in the park, but didn't really experience it until then. And when I walked through there, it was unnerving. I'm sorry, it was just unnerving. I had pity in my heart, but and fear also at the same time. So I hope we can get something together. I hope the legislation can start moving in the right direction. I just hope that we get some leaders in the state of Washington that can really use common sense, and we can start I think, grassroots effort to help the homeless that want to be helped, and figure out what we're going to do with the homeless that are just here for a free ride. So that's my views on the homeless situation, and thank you very much for sending all those nice letters and stuff. I've got a lot of emails and videos and stuff that have come in regarding this issue. We have been working on a podcast for the Disruptors podcast, and it's myself and Candace Thompson, the Wild Child herself of the Wild Child Group, and we're looking into homeless and doing some more shows on homeless. You can find us on Spotify and on iHeartRadio. That's the Disruptors. So, I tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to take a few minutes out, and I want to play you some more music that I really think is really kind of great. And this is, I think you'll like it. It's natural, smooth jazz, brought to you by Keeba Live. That's Keeba Live. When I get back, I'll talk about how we came up with the name Keeba.